In the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, where the sun shines almost year-round and the wind blows in from Africa, lies Lanzarote, a volcanic island with breathtaking landscapes that rarely sees rain. But on Saturday, April 12th, that paradise turned into the scene of an unexpected weather emergency. A historic storm unleashed chaos in just a matter of hours. Within only 2 hours, nature revealed its most aggressive side. Over 100 liters of water per square meter poured down on this small Canary Island, triggering one of the worst floods residents have seen in decades. The rain fell with such intensity that streets turned into rivers, and homes were invaded by mud and debris. Lanzarote, famous for its arid beauty, is simply not equipped to handle this kind of rainfall. The impact was immediate: blocked roads, flooded homes, vehicles swept away by strong currents, and a population completely overwhelmed by what felt like a scene straight out of a disaster movie. The worst-hit areas were Arrecife, the island's capital, and Teguise, an important tourist hub. In places like Costa Teguise and Tahiche, rainfall reached 100 liters per square meter, an extraordinary amount for a region accustomed to dry weather. In minutes, the basements of hotels, schools, homes, and shopping centers were completely submerged. Many residents and tourists trapped in their homes frantically called emergency services, which were overwhelmed by the sheer number of calls. For the first time in the island's history, authorities activated Level 1 of the Special Civil Protection Plan for floods. This mobilized firefighters, police, and volunteers, and even prompted a request for support from neighboring municipalities and the military. Chaos reigned on the roads. Key routes like the Tahiche Climb and the LZ-20 bridge were completely impassable. Vehicles were stranded underwater, and many people had to be rescued in boats and off-road vehicles. In total, over 220 incidents were reported. The island's Emergency and Safety Consortium worked tirelessly through the night. Fire crews arrived from nearby towns like La Oliva, on the neighboring island of Fuerteventura, to help pump out water and rescue people in distress. Images of the disaster flooded social media. People being carried to safety by rescuers, cars floating in muddy waters, and tourists capturing stunned footage of floodwaters surging through hotel corridors. What was supposed to be a peaceful weekend became a nightmare for many. Arrecife's mayor, Jonathan de Leon, described the event as an extreme weather phenomenon and blamed the lack of proper drainage in nearby ravines for worsening the situation. He called on the Island Water Council to take urgent measures to prevent a repeat of this disaster. In neighborhoods like Argana Alta, water came rushing down from the mountains like an avalanche, sweeping everything in its path. Residents recounted how, within minutes, their homes filled with mud, appliances floated around, and doors couldn't be opened due to water pressure. The president of the Lanzarote Council, Oswaldo Betancourt, urged affected residents to document and report all damages. This is essential to activate economic aid at local, regional, and national levels. Declaring the island a disaster zone is also on the table. Material losses are significant. Schools have been closed, hotels have canceled bookings, roads require full reconstruction, and some families have lost nearly everything. Fortunately, there were no reported fatalities, although several people sustained minor injuries. The emergency was officially lifted on Sunday morning, once teams managed to control most of the incidents. However, cleanup and assessment work is still underway and could last several weeks. Authorities have been clear. This event must serve as a wake-up call for how climate risks are managed on Lanzarote. The island can no longer rely on its traditionally mild weather and must start preparing for extreme events that, due to climate change, are likely to become more frequent. While many residents feel relieved to have escaped unharmed, there's also a sense of frustration over the lack of proper infrastructure. We're not prepared for this. It's not just the rain. The problem is that the water has nowhere to go, said a resident of Costa Teguise. There were also moments of solidarity. Neighbors helped each other bail water from flooded homes. Restaurants offered free meals to those affected, and hotels opened their doors to people who couldn't return to their homes. This experience has brought the community closer together, but it has also exposed the vulnerabilities of an island that depends heavily on tourism and the peace it promises visitors. What happened is a wake-up call not just for Lanzarote, but for all regions that assume they're safe. Today, as the skies begin to clear over Lanzarote's sleeping volcanoes, one message remains. In a rapidly changing world, even the driest of paradises can find itself swimming under the fury of an unexpected storm.